In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Microsoft Sway to create a newsletter. So to start, we need to go to www.office.com, and if prompted, we'll need to sign in with our school's email address. From there, we click onto the 9 dots next to where it says Office 365, and we're looking for Sway. If you don't see Sway in this section here, you can click onto All Apps and find it there. So we'll open up Sway. When Sway opens, it'll show you a list of all the recent Sways that you've created or accessed. The ones that I've created will have a view count next to them. So this one's called Untitled and it's got 21 views. But something like the Walkerville Primary School one, for example, I am not the owner, so I don't have access to see those analytics. So at the top, we can select New Blank Sway. We can upload from a document, which is essentially a PowerPoint or a Word document, or we can choose one of the templates. My recommendation is to start with a blank Sway. I've used the templates in the past, and as I worked through them, I found myself having to delete what was in the template and replace with what I was working on. And in hindsight, it would have been a lot quicker just to start from a new blank Sway. So that's what I'll do today. So once Sway opens, we've got our first tile here, which is Title Your Sway. And for my example today, I'm going to do a preschool newsletter. So I'll give my Sway a title. And this is automatically saving as well. There's no save button, but I will point out that we have got undo and redo buttons there. If you do close the window without undoing, unfortunately, you won't be able to get that back. So be very careful if you make a mistake. So with my title there, I can click on the play button and this will preview my Sway. And if you are following along, you might find that yours looks completely different because when you first open up Sway, it'll give you a random template. So if I click onto edit now, I'm currently in the storyline view, but next door I've got design. So clicking onto design and then going across to where it says styles, this will bring up the styles and templates for this particular Sway. So I'm in a vertical scroll at the moment. That means I need to scroll up and down in order to continue through that Sway. I can have a horizontal Sway and also a slide. My recommendation is to use vertical because a lot of people do tend to look at these things on their mobile phones, and it's a lot more natural to scroll up and down than it is to scroll left and right. I can see the template that is chosen for me at the moment. It's one from this line here. And I can click on customize to further customize that. So I can choose a different color scheme, font choices, etc. What I might quickly do though before doing that is just put in a picture. So I go back into Storyline, and where it's got background, if I click onto background, that will bring up some suggested searches here. So it's recognized the words that I've typed in and suggested, hey, do you want to do a Bing search for images based on Flinders Street Preschool? I can also go down to where it says my device to upload my own content, or I could use OneDrive for Business. So I have got some files that I've saved, so I'm going to choose my device. And then from there, you can navigate to your files. So I've got mine in a Sway folder on my desktop, so I'm going to go ahead and select my background picture there. Once that's uploaded, I can close this screen and then click on play again. So that picture is now a lot bigger and I've got my text down the bottom. I don't think that the style works particularly well, so I'm going to go into edit and click onto design and then styles. So going through, I quite like this particular line of styles, so I can scroll through as well. So I think that this would look nice with blue. So I can scroll through and find a nice blue. Might do this one. And we can see that that's changed there. I can then scroll up, and now that I've got this style selected, I can click onto customize. And I can further go and choose different colors, or I can choose my actual image here as a color palette. So curated just means that it'll give you one of these random colors down here. But if I click onto my image, that will try and find a color scheme that works well with that image. So if I select this one, we can see that that's changed there. and I can go through and find other options. That one might be a bit better. Once I've selected it, I can also change my font choices. So we only have a limited number of fonts that we can choose. So I'll go ahead and choose this Arial one. And we can see that that font there changes. I can also change my animation emphasis and my text size, but I will leave it as is. So I'm happy with that selection now. So I'll click on the close button and then back into Storyline. So we've got our title to start with and our main picture. I now want to go ahead and start to add in some information about my newsletter. So click on the plus button, and that's to insert content. And from here, we can select headings, text, images, stacks, upload, and we've also got a few other options up the top here as well. But I'm going to start with some text. So click onto text, and I'm just going to copy and paste this from elsewhere. So I've got my newsletter 2, term 1, and when I click onto play and scroll down, I can see that text is now appearing underneath. To change the look of that text, I go back into edit, and I've got some buttons up the top. So if I click on to emphasize, that will essentially bold this text. So go to play, and we can see that that's now in bold. If I click on edit, I can also change the emphasis on this card or title. So at the moment it's set to subtle, but I can click on the moderate, and now when I click on to play, you can see that it's now in blue font and there are lines on either side. So that looks okay. I might leave it like that and click back onto edit. Now we have our first heading, and my first heading is going to be in this issue. So I click on to insert content and heading 1 and click play. And as I scroll down, we can see that in this issue is coming in from the left there. So click on to edit. And this time I want to add in some bullet points. So we'll click onto this tile again and the plus button and then text. So I'm copying in some text. That came in with the bullet points. If the bullet points didn't come in, you can go ahead and click on the bullets there for that to come in. So click on play, and I can see those bullet points there appearing under in this issue. Back into edit. The next card that I want to add is the coming events, and we can see that's their coming events. So we'll go into heading 1 and put in coming events. And I want my coming events to appear as a table. Unfortunately, Sway doesn't let you put in tables, but what I've found is that you can put your tables into Microsoft Word first and then upload them in. So going into Word, I've just quickly created this table in Word. I've saved it already, and I've added in some background shading. So I need to close that first. And what I can do now is click on the plus button, and this time I'm going to upload. And we'll scroll to that Word document and then click on to open. This will now convert that Word document into a Sway. So it comes in with the saved name of the file and also the image. So your table has now been converted into an image. I don't want this title, so to delete that, I can click on to the delete button. And underneath, I've got my preview of that image. Don't worry if it doesn't look perfect. When we click on to play and scroll down, we can see that that's appearing as a nice formatted table there. Go back into edit, and I'll point out these emphasis as well. So the emphasis on this is currently moderate. If I change that to subtle and click play, that table is now a lot smaller, and it's actually quite difficult to read at that size. So we'll go back in and we'll change that to moderate. Our next section is program. So I'll go ahead and create a heading 1 again, and we're going to call that program. And this time I have a whole bunch of text that I want to add in. So I'm just going to copy and paste some text. So click on to insert content, text, and we'll paste in there. I can see that didn't paste in particularly well, so I'm just going to go in and add in some spaces. Okay, and now clicking on play again. when we scroll down, we've got all that text in there. Now, I think it would be a good idea to add some pictures to this body of text. So we'll click back onto Edit. And this time I'm going to click on the Insert Content button and then go into Image. And we'll click on My Device. And we've got 3 images that we want for the program. So I will insert all of those. And when we click on Play, those images are appearing underneath the text. So that's okay, but I actually wouldn't mind having them to the left of my text. So click onto Edit. And to drag your images, you can click onto the card and then drag it up the top. See how we've got that green line that's appearing above the text? If I release that and click on play, that image is now appearing on the left-hand side and then 2 are underneath. So to get all those images one under the other, I actually have to break up the text a bit. So I'll click onto Edit. So I'm going to try over here. So what that means is I'm just going to copy this text onto my clipboard, have an image, click on plus and text, and let's paste the rest of the text in there. And now click on play. Now when I scroll down, I've got those images there. The last one isn't quite in line, so it looks like I need to split that text again. So we'll go into Edit, and let's try here. So break the text there, and add another text field underneath, and put that back. Click on play. Okay, that's much better. I now have my images appearing to the left. So a bit of trial and error there to get those to line up. If you were happy having your images directly underneath, you could have left it as is. But for this example, I wanted all my images to appear on the left. The next heading we want is what we have been learning this week. So I'll go ahead and quickly do that as this one is quite easy. So we'll click on Insert Content, heading 1 again, add in our text, and we'd like an image to appear underneath. So we'll click on the plus button, Image, My Device, and put that picture in. When I click on play, we'll go all the way down to the bottom, and that image is actually next door instead of underneath. It does depend on the type of theme that you've selected, whether the image will appear on top, to the left, to the right, or underneath. So I actually don't mind the look of that. That might do for there. If I did want that to appear underneath, I'd need to change the emphasis. So right now it's on subtle. If I click onto moderate and then play, so that will appear underneath the text, but as a much bigger picture. So that might be okay, or you might want to go in and change that back to subtle so that it appears on the right. The next card that we have is our public library. So I'll copy that in quickly. And we have an image to go with that too. So we can upload, and we'll keep this picture as subtle and to the right. Going through our topics, we now have our grandparents, parents, and special friends day. So we'll go and copy that in. This text has something that needs to be in bold. So we've got help needed on the day, please. So we can highlight that and click on to the emphasis button. I'd like to add a picture to the left. So to do that, I need to add a picture to the top of the card. So I can just add it in here as an image. And to have it appear to the left of the text, I need to drag it above. So that green line appears above, and let go. And click on to play. And by the way, a helpful hint is that if you click onto the square down the bottom, you can actually go straight to that particular section. So we've got our grandparents' day here, and we can see that text there. So in this grandparents one, we have a form that we'd like people to complete. So I'll bring up a form. So this is our registration form. So if I go into share and then copy that link, I can now go back into my Sway and enter something like please complete our registration form. And if I highlight it, I can click onto link and then paste that link into the web link part and go OK. And now when I click on play and go all the way down to the bottom, I've got a hyperlink there. So we can click onto that link. That's OK. And there's our registration form there. If we want to be even smarter about it, we can embed our form into the Sway. So to do that, we click onto Edit, and I'll just remove this section here. Click on the plus button, and when I go into Media, we have something called Embed. So I'll click onto Embed, and it says paste your embed code here. So if I go back into my form, when I click on the share button, I've actually got my embed code there. So I click onto the code and I've got everything there. So I click on copy. And now when I go back into Sway, I can simply paste that code in there. And when I click onto play now, we've actually got that form directly within the Sway. It's a little bit small though, so let's go and fix that. So we'll click onto edit. And we've got some options here. We can have the original size, we can have it moderate or intense. Let's go moderate. And now we have our form directly within Sway. So I can scroll down and there's the fields there for the person to complete. Right, so that's looking pretty good. Let's go into edit again. We only have a few more sections to go. The next one is governing council meeting. So we'll click on to insert content, heading 1, governing council. We'll add in some text. And this time I want to add in a table of all of my governing council members. So remember, we can't add tables directly into Sway. We need to add them in through Microsoft Word. So I've got my table here of my members. I've saved that already. I need to close it before I can upload. Back into Sway, click on to the plus button and upload. And we've got our governing council members document there. Click on open. And now I've got my heading card and my image card. I don't need that heading card, so I can remove that by clicking on the rubbish bin. And I've got this as subtle, and so that means it'll appear to the right. So click on to play. And there we've got our governing council meeting text and the table next door. Click back onto edit. Now I want to add in some community news. So we'll click into heading 1, community news. I have a bunch of pamphlets that I want to add into my newsletter, but rather than having pages and pages of pictures, I want them to be stacked on top of each other. So to do that, we click on the Insert Content button and we go into Stack. And we have our Add Content. So I can click on my device, so I'm already in my upload image, or I can click on Add Content image there, my device. And I've got a bunch of images that I want to add to my stack. So I'll start to add all those in. When you're in your stack card here, I can tell that I am because it's highlighted. I can go straight into my device and add in the next one. I can also drag and drop if I'd like. So I've gone ahead and added a bunch of different images there. And if I scroll up and click onto my stack card, I can see that we are in subtle, but I want this to be fairly large. So I'm going to click onto moderate and let's preview. And we can see we've got community news and we can click through on those images to go from one to the other. We can also click on to the view image with details and then we can scroll across easy that way too. So that's looking pretty good. Where we'll finish this now is to add a video. So we'll click on the plus and heading 1. And I can either upload a video that I have created myself, or I can add in a YouTube link. So I'll go ahead and add a YouTube link in for today. And we're just going to bring in a story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. If I scroll all the way up, I don't want that to say information session anymore. I want that to say Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And now when I scroll down and I click on my plus sign and go into media, I can upload my own video. So that's something that I've created on my camera, my phone, my webcam, however I've created my video. So I click onto that, and then from there I can drag my video in, I can upload, or up the top if I click onto suggested, I can go into YouTube and I'm going to paste in my YouTube link there and click on search. There's my Goldilocks and the Three Bears video there, so I can click that and drag in there. Note again, we've got our different sizes, so we'll choose moderate for this and then click on play. Now we have our heading and our video there, and our person can click on to play, and that video will play directly here within Sway. So that's our newsletter. So to go ahead and share that, up the top we've got our share button. So when I click on to share, it's important to notice the different options. So if you share with specific people, that means that that person does need to have a LearnLink account in order to access the Sway. If I share with those in the organization, the same thing goes there, but anyone within the organization can view that. Or we can choose anyone with a link. And this is the best option if sharing with parents. And then from there, we have this link. So we can copy that link and we can put it into our LMS. We can put it into our text messaging application, pop that on our website, in an email, however you would normally share a link with a parent. And what will happen is they can put this into their web browser or their phone. They don't need anything special. And that will load that newsletter where they can scroll through. And just a note, if you click on to the Restore Down button in your web browser, you can actually resize this to the narrowest it'll go. And this will show you what that newsletter or that Sway looks like on a mobile phone view. So I can scroll through, and that is what it looks like if this was viewed on a phone. One more thing, when you click on to share, if you do want somebody else in your environment to help you edit, you can invite people to edit. So if I click on to edit, the link changes, and this is the link that I can share with that person, and they'll be able to have edit access to my Sway. But be very careful when you are sharing with parents, you do need to click on to the view and copy that there. I recommend trying this in a private browser to make sure that it works before sending it out to parents. So to do that, you can click on copy link. I use Chrome, but if I right click and go to new incognito window and paste that there, it opens up without any issues. It hasn't asked me to sign in or anything like that. The last thing to point out is that you can print this if you'd like. So up the top next to the three dots, we have export and print. I recommend selecting export and from there choosing Word. What this will do is it'll download into a Word document that you can then edit and then print. So we'll open up that Word document and we've got our newsletter here. So of course the video won't play inside of this. If I go right down to the bottom, it's just got a link so the person can click on the link. But of course, if you're printing, that link won't work. You may have to type it out there for that person to be able to access it. And that's a very quick crash course on how to use Microsoft Sway.